What's going on, guys? Welcome to July's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and throughout the month we play them, and then we talk about them at the end of the month, or sometimes the first day of the month after, like now, which kind of sucks. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
Sorry for the delay, you guys understand, but we're here now. We're talking about things, but before we get into that, talking about Final Fantasy X, we're in a new month. So we got Wipeout Omega Collection and Sniper Elite 4. Both out for free on PlayStation Plus this month. Make sure to download those, play those, and come back at the end of this month for Plus Club. We'll be talking about those games. Let us know your opinions on them. Also, another reminder that we just did Plus Club for July. We talked about Detroit Become Human and Horizon Chase Turbo, so make sure to go back and check that out. Go back and check out a couple episodes. This week, we just kind of just shoving fucking episodes out. So if you missed one, go check them out. And yeah, we have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. And we are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. Now, we are in a new month. This is Game of the Month. We'll be talking about Final Fantasy X, which we played in July, but we have to pick a new Game of the Month for August. So I have drawn a random number from a random number generator from Google. Thank you, Google, for fucking being able to just go one and whatever the fuck. Hit that like a couple times, and I came upon the number of 5.
Well, Keith will be happy.
Ori?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
All right, well, I finally have a reason I have to play it. It's a game I've dabbled in a couple times, and I've liked what I played so far. I was having PC problems around the time that I picked it up, so I couldn't really jump into it. I was having this issue where games would not stay full screen, which was really annoying. So, but that is resolved and fixed. So, I will get to enjoy that. But it's also on Xbox as well. What do you think about that?
Well, I've been curious about it. I think the art style's really cool. I just
It's gorgeous.
Couldn't pull myself away from other things to play it. So now that it is, and I hate to word it this way, but an obligation to play it, it gives me a good reason to do so. I also don't know if I want to pick it up on my Xbox or my PC. It would give me a reason to turn my Xbox on. So we'll see.
Yeah, Keith actually gave it to me for my birthday, so I play it on PC. I will be playing it on PC, and you can use any controller you want. But
yeah,
he was very adamant about you need to use a controller because the game's built for it, which I did try both. It absolutely feels better on a controller.
The other thing I'm happy about, actually, just kind of like while we're on the topic of that game, plus what we have for PlayStation Plus, it seems like I might have time to actually put in other games as well.
Yeah, there's been a couple releases that I've put to the side because of the amount of attention that last month needed.
Yeah.
This actual last month, July, has been fine, but I've been like, for me, anyone who knows me, anyone who watches the channel, I hop around a lot when it comes to games, like a ridiculous amount. And like, I've been playing like 2 games all month. And even though I appreciated that experience, being able to do that, I had so many other things I want to play. And I was like, oh God, fuck, I want to play that, I want to play that. But I had to get through certain games, namely the one we're going to talk about. So yeah, this month I feel like I can dabble a little more than I've been. Yeah, so Ori and the Blind Forest for August. I'm actually pretty excited for that. Hopefully Keith is. Let us know in the comments, Keith, if you're excited for that. Yeah, so Game of the Month, Final Fantasy X. We played that throughout July. Chris is not here. We will get his quick opinions and grade on whichever episode he's on next. But we played it. We both actually started this month and beat it this month.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for transparency's sake, you played this back when it fucking came out. Beat it then, so you're returning to it.
Yeah.
I have dabbled in it over the years many times. As everybody who watches the channel knows, whenever I talk about this, I actually didn't like the game when I originally played it. I've actually had a pretty negative opinion on the game for years. As I've gotten older, it's become a lot softer in my perception of that game. Every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not into it. So coming into this game and playing it has been an interesting experience for me because it's one of the only Final Fantasies I've like barely dabbled in. I mean, I've played 12 more than I've played this. I haven't played 13. That's the only one I have not fucking touched.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll have to throw it on the list.
Yeah, but even like the fucking hardcore Final Fantasy fans are never excited about that one. 10's like, for like a lot of the Final Fantasy people, it's like one of the pinnacle ones. Like you mentioned Final Fantasy, of course 7, or you're going to have the people who are like 6, fuck 7, because those are at war for some reason.
It's pretty much 6 through 10.
Yeah. And then you have the people who are like 10, and a lot of those people remind me of the people who are like the Resident Evil 2 people. Like, I played Resident Evil first, and it fucking blew my mind. I loved it. 2 came out, I loved it. But a lot of people, their first Resident Evil was 2.
Yeah.
So they played it. That's their favorite one from the past. A lot of people I know played 7 at some point, but a lot of them first got into Final Fantasy from 10. And I
That
feel like
makes sense.
that is one of the first. I think that's why it has such a strong pull for a lot of people. Outside of it was pretty ahead of its time. We should probably get into the conversation though. So in case you didn't get a chance to play Final Fantasy X, I don't even know how to fucking explain the story of this without giving off anything, but essentially you're a character named Tidus who is pulled from your world into another world, seemingly, where you are met with many characters who live in a world where there is a reoccurring entity that is, like, how do I even say this without, I don't want to spoil the fucking shit.
Yeah, you are Tidus. You get pulled from your world to another world, and your mission is essentially to save the world, as if like you do in most Final Fantasy games, if not all of them. And the event that you're trying to prevent happens over and over again,
It's just an
and
entity
you're
named
attempting
Sin.
to break the cycle.
Yeah. You're trying to stop that once and for all. And it's really funny to not try and spoil a game that's been out for fucking like a long time.
Sure, and
Like
most people,
17
I'm
years
sure,
or some shit.
99% of people who decide to watch this have probably played it. So
Yeah.
but just in
So
case,
I'm the new guy, but I have beaten it. Yeah. So let's jump into general impressions. I'd like to hear your impressions first because I'm curious because you've played this before. You're coming back to it now. Has anything changed, and what was your overall impressions playing throughout this month?
okay. So the first thing I noticed is they did a really good job cleaning it up from the PS2 version. It is all the lines are very clean. That fuzzy look that it kind of had before is completely gone, though that does kind of show off some of the character model a little too much. But
This is actually, I just need to jump in real quick because when we got this pulled, I was like, okay, I gotta buy it. I don't own this game, so I did some research on what's like the definitive version to get for Final Fantasy X. Everybody says the PC version, but I watched a side by side comparison of like the original and like all the remasters or whatever. It's really kind of crazy how many different ways this game looks.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the original because it's miles ahead. But like the PC version, on top of what you're saying, I think is the cleanest looking, best looking one, of course. But it's like pretty fucking good looking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little like too sharp because they have to just round off those fucking fuzzy ass edges like you're talking about. But it's, I mean, if you did a little bit of work on like the animations, I mean, it looks pretty good for like even modern JRPGs.
yeah, and that's something I always appreciate when it comes to a remaster, because obviously it's not a remake. So yeah, modern resolution, cleaned up graphics and colors and whatnot. It does have an updated soundtrack as well. And
Does it?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then it has 2 different variations of the sphere grid. If you're not familiar, that is the way you level in this game. Most JRPGs, you level and you are given stats. This game, you are given points to spend into a tree, which is pretty linear, but there is points that do branch off. So
Yeah, the sphere grid, from my perspective, I don't know what the 2 you're talking about is.
there's just different starting points for the characters.
Okay.
When you start the game, it asks you which version of the sphere grid you want.
I don't remember that. This whole month's a blur. It's an interesting system because like I'm a big Path of Exile fan. A lot of people on the channel play it, or community play it, and just a lot of people really enjoy the game. And whenever someone's new to Path of Exile, they'll look at the fucking skill tree and they're like, "Whoa, it's like the sphere grid." And I would say, and even like Rob has said, it's the sphere grid on crack, which I agree. But I think that oversimplifies the sphere grid as a system, although they are comparable. The sphere grid, almost like a lot of things in Final Fantasy games, feels like a mini game almost.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually, going into my impression a bit, one of my favorite things about this game was the sphere grid, because I was assuming it was going to be like Path of Exile. You just start going down and picking attributes and getting skills and stuff. But I kind of liked that, because at first I'm like, what the fuck? Why does that matter? You have to travel along it with certain points and then purchase what you're on. And if you run out of movement on the sphere grid, I forgot the name of that, you're kind of done, even if you have the points to buy other things. And so your routing matters. And you have to backtrack and go other ways, like almost like going down hallways. But then there's areas you have to open up to go to other sections, almost like doorways. So it almost feels like you're going through, like you're progressing, not just as your character, which I think is a really neat way to level up your character. You don't really like level up. You just kind of enhance your character.
You get movement points, yeah.
Yeah. But it's also really interesting to explore the sphere grid, because it's like, I mean, you can zoom out, but like for the most part, you're down in there moving around this, like I said, almost feels like hallways, like progressing your character. Like I would always save up a lot of points so I could kind of like spend time in there and move around a bit. Whereas like, other games, if I got 1 point, I'd be like, then I get another one constantly. And
I
that
definitely
game,
1 pointed this.
yeah, I did a couple times, but I was like, it's not enough progression. So like I would just sit there and grind out an area and then just spend a bunch of points and kind of go through it. And I just to sum it up, I thought the sphere grid was actually, like I said, when it's represented by people when they talk about it, I think it's oversimplified, because there is more of a system there that was cool for me as someone who has not delved into this game that much. It was cool for me to experience that and go, oh, there's more to this than that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of spheres you can use too to like unlock fucking.
Purchase previously unlocked black magic, white magic, teleport to friend.
I mean, there's a lot to it. It's a whole fucking game of its own almost. So, and I like that there's an emphasis on collecting the spheres, using certain moves to get them.
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't really played a game that has a system like that. So I really dug it. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite things about the game. So.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I do want to kind of say, as I'm going to my opinion, I haven't like played this game since PlayStation 2, and so I'd honestly forgotten a lot of like the side stuff in the game. I remembered the storyline pretty much to a T, which is great. Which speaks volumes actually to the story that I was able to retain it, because a little insight to how my brain works, it doesn't. I don't remember shit. So, but there's a lot of mini games, and that's something I think newer Final Fantasies are missing. And Final Fantasy X really reminded me that used to be such a big part of playing a Final Fantasy game. 15 had some, but it was really kind of lacking in a lot of ways in that regard too.
I liked the mini games that it had though.
Yeah, no, I did
too.
too.
In the what the fuck was it? The arena, the Coliseum.
Yeah, so, well, it's funny, though, because 10 has this Coliseum, but the way the Coliseum works in 10 is you get capture weapons, and you go fight monsters, and if you get a kill with that weapon, you capture one, and you get X amount of them. It creates special bosses that you get to fight in this arena, and by doing these, you also earn rare items and stuff. There's Chocobo Racing, which shouldn't be too surprising, but the system in 10 is your timer goes up, but as you collect balloons, it actually subtracts time from your timer, and you want to try to finish the race with 0 as your timer.
Weird.
Yeah, so they did a lot of things like that. There's Blitzball. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, but I know there are people who really like dive into that because it's very much a micromanagement game. And yeah, I mean, there's other systems in there too that I can't think of off the top of my head. There's obviously the summons are of a huge emphasis in the game, which is a good and bad thing. For the storyline purpose of it, obviously I really enjoy it. And with the remaster, we got to get the European version of the game. So there are the Dark Aeons, which are much more powerful, special extra boss fights essentially. So there's just a lot of post game here. So even after you beat the story, you can really kind of sink another easily 40 plus hours,
which sucks because I did not do that,
and I didn't this time.
Yeah. My goal was to beat it. I wanted to finally go. I beat the game. I can talk about it, all that shit. So, and time permitted me to be able to beat it just on time, but I didn't have enough time. Yeah, you did it fucking last minute. Pretty quickly.
It helped. I had a plan for the end of the game though, so
yeah,
to get through that. So.
But yeah, so I didn't get to experience a whole lot of the post-game stuff.
Yeah. I guess the only really thing I could say to add to that is I still enjoyed it as I did before. The big things I would say were different this time was with gaming advancing specifically in how we do voice acting these days. You can tell this was like one of Square's first games with voice acting. It is done very poorly. I remember that even then. It really is bad now.
Yeah, that's funny and I will definitely be talking about that. But even with my opinion of it now, I still felt that way back in the day. It's just like it's a little harder to swallow now because of how far acting and voice acting and everything has come. Yeah,
for sure. And game budgets have gone through the roof in comparison too, which makes a huge difference. But the story I still really enjoyed as an entirety. There are weird spots in it, which I think if they ever were to actually do a remake of this game, I would really hope they smooth that storytelling out a little bit. But I think the overall arcing story is still just as good as I remember. It was just the journey was sometimes good, sometimes like, wow, I don't remember this being this cheesy. So I don't think it aged well in certain regards of storytelling aspects and
well, and when this game first came out, we were a lot younger.
well, yeah, this is PS2,
And
so
we were there during the time where, stuff like this was still like brand new and shit.
Sure.
So like the standard would have been lowered.
for sure. And I'm trying to emphasize that like it's
like I
just
used to
the
watch
aging process of it.
Horribly fucking if I did watch it dubbed, I typically never do, but like I would watch shitty dubbed anime and be like, ain't so bad.
That's
And
come a
now
long
I'm just
ways,
like, it's
too.
fucking atrocious. Like I fucking if I can avoid it, I will, like the plague.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I think didn't translate over the years as well. I think it's mostly just the voice acting, the way the story's written. Like I said, it's not that I don't like the story. I actually love the story. I think the story is very good. I appreciate that most Final Fantasies have dark tones. This one is no exception, and it really fools you with the bright colors. Vibrant, I guess, looking world, and then a not very vibrant story.
I think the world's actually really fucking bleak and dark looking.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's like neon fucking Technicolor rainbow colors everywhere, but fucking most of the world is like dark and rocky and windy and like ruins, and like only like the towns are like look like fucking
I suppose I'm referring to the color palette and not the design.
yeah, I was about to say that world's depressing to me. You really feel that like everybody's just trying to fucking live in a world where they could fucking be ended at any time because there's a thing that can't be stopped.
For sure. And
They keep trying.
That being said, this time actually, I still think Sin is a great villain. It's nice for it to be an entity and not necessarily like this dude or a singular person, as much as like I can't go into it too much without spoilers, but there's a very
no. We'll talk spoilers now from now on. I just when we do like if you didn't play it type thing, I don't want to spoil it then because somebody might not have played it and might want to know what it's about. Somehow they've never heard. I don't know with this game, but yeah, at this point we can talk about spoilers. The game's been out for so fucking long. Okay.
So Sin being initially a big question mark, and then intelligent monster, and then come to find out that it's your dad, and then further come to find out that your dad took the option to sacrifice his life to become a summon, that in fact Yu Yevon as a parasite took over and uses that to create Sin out of that. So there's a lot of depth to what Sin is, and I really love that aspect of Sin. Mm-hmm. The other villain, on the other hand, I thought he was kind of cheesy in the past, and he is even worse now. Seymour.
Oh God, yeah.
Not a huge fan of Seymour. And character design aside, just his character in general, is more of a nuisance than. I never felt like he was really a threat as much as like just a guy slowing me down constantly.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Every time I ran him, I'm like, God, get the fuck out of the way, dude. I got shit to do.
Yeah, he never had anything interesting to say. He was just
offending? Already?
He didn't have a lot to say. He had like very simple like, I had a shitty childhood and I'm just gonna take over. I'm gonna be part of Sin and take over and destroy the whole world. And I need a good public appearance, so I'm going to marry you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And towards the end, he feels shoehorned in again. Just because, like, at the end, it really feels like they were trying to keep you busy. Like I was playing out to like the last chapter.
The Sin chapter's long.
And then, well, it's not even like long in the sense of being like long in any meaningful way. It's like, here's a boss, here's a boss, here's a boss, here's a boss. It's like, they're like, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. Here's all these fucking bosses. And I was like, okay. And then Seymour shows up and it's like fucking so temporary. He shows up and he's like, oh, you thought you'd killed me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, it's fucking Seymour. And then like you fucking kill him and he's like, rah, and just disappears. I'm like, do we have to do that again?
Well, we had to send him, so at least he's gone.
Although that fight, although basic, was kind of neat. I liked it that there's a puzzle. This game's got like puzzled bosses, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They're obviously in other games, but like I don't remember that many in some of the other Final Fantasy games. But
I do think it's a little more mechanic rich than previous titles.
This whole game is more mechanic rich than most fucking Final Fantasies. I mean, the whole temple fucking system. If you're into puzzles, you were in heaven playing this game. If you're not into puzzles, like me, but
Same.
you're open-minded, because I appreciated the effort. It's like some of those fucking things. I looked at walkthroughs after the first two. Not because I couldn't figure it out, because I don't like puzzle games. And so I was like, I got to fucking get this shit done. But like, there's like one that the puzzle was so fucking insane that I was like, people back in the day, like I forgot back in the day, we used to fucking figure that shit out. We'd go over and over and over again. I'm so used to nowadays
buy
being
a $20
streamlined
strategy guide.
Yeah. And fucking everything's so streamlined now that like I was doing that. I was like, holy shit, someone thought that up and expected people to fucking figure it out. It was crazy. So it's like, and it wasn't even a bad puzzle. I hate puzzles in games. But I was like, this is intricate. You can figure this out if you fucking don't mind walking back and forth and fucking up and doing it over again.
Is that the conveyor belt one you're talking about specifically?
Think so.
Fuck that one.
Because I was looking at the walkthrough and I was like, this is fucking, you just travel around and you got to go here and there. And if you don't do that part right, you got to figure it out again by traveling over to there again. And you don't freely walk. You just move down these conveyor belts.
Especially if you wanted to get the destruction spheres so that you could get anima.
Yeah. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like people back in the day did this without looking it up. I'm looking it up and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't want to. Anyway, I don't want to get, I'll get into all that.
I mean, that's pretty much the majority of my opinion. So you can get into yours if you want. If I have anything to add, I'll throw it in there. So mostly positive, a couple negatives compared to my nostalgia. But I do think overall it's still a very solid title. So.
And I agree with that. And before I get into this, any diehard Final Fantasy fans, I know there's you guys out there who, if it says Final Fantasy, you fucking love it. And Final Fantasy is like one of my favorite fucking brands when it comes to gaming. I think they've consistently throughout the years, even with weaker titles, have always managed to keep that name meaningful and still deliver when they release games. I played 15. I fucking loved it. I played it when it first came out a little bit. And I was like, it's okay. It's a boy band simulator where you go around open world shit. Picked it up later, and fucking when I beat it, I loved it. So I mean, like, I even to like this day, I still really dig the series. So I get the passion for the series or whatever. I am gonna say some negative things though about 10, but you have to realize as well, I used to hate this game. I used to not like it at all. So. Level with me here because my opinion has vastly changed. Going into that, this game feels like when the Beatles was like that like nice little fucking guitar boy band and then they tried drugs and they made fucking Strawberry Fields Forever and shit. This is like the most fucking spiritually trippy fucking let's think outside the box, man, like fucking Final Fantasy I've played. All of them are like they all deal with magic and some kind of spiritual thing and like lunacy and fucking darker elements, tragedy, romance, all that stuff. But this game is so about death, life after death, spirits, religion,
breaking of faith.
The breaking of faith. Traditionalism, just there's so much. When I was playing this, I was like, this is so tonally different. It's very bold. There's still, and then I was thinking about it, I was like, because in my head I'm like, well, most Final Fantasies are like sci-fi with like big hair and stuff, and I'm like, there's actually a lot of them that aren't. So Final Fantasy does a good job on like keeping each one of them feeling unique. 9 feels nothing like the other ones.
Good job, Nomura.
10 now after beating it doesn't feel like any of the other ones at all, in my opinion. 12 doesn't feel like any of them.
Well, that's a completely different guy. So
Sure, I'm just saying. 13 I haven't played. I just heard so many bad things about it. I was like, I'm skip it.
I think you should try it, but just realize it is a hallway.
Sure. 15 does give me a Final Fantasy vibe, although newer and more anime feeling than the earlier games that didn't feel like anime to me. That being said, this game, like I said, very bold in its decision. I had a lot of gripes earlier on when I was younger about the visual style, the thematic style, all that stuff. I still understand my earlier opinion, but I think a lot of it is really ballsy and bold that they did it in a convincing way, and I think it fits thematically with what they're doing with the spiritualism, the religion, all that stuff. I think it's also really kind of crazy that most JRPGs in general, but like Final Fantasy, you're going to get a lot of like towns, cities, grassy fields, traditional shit. This is like all island stuff, coastal towns, a lot of fucking like seafaring, and like it's really fucking different, and it's so fucking the 2000s in its fucking design. It's like a time capsule. When I was playing, I was like, oh man, I kind of miss these days, but I kind of don't. So yeah, it's just been a trip playing this game because like there's so much more to it than I could have understood when I was younger. So that's been really interesting. As for like characters, one of my biggest gripes with this game, and you kind of touched on a little bit, the voice acting is atrocious. It's awful. Some people pull it through better than others, but you can tell that this was early on in when they're getting more ambitious with voice acting a full game as opposed to cutscenes. And I'm glad they tried it. I think in this particular instance, they did it. They didn't do it well, in my opinion. So I was impressed, but not at the same time. The audio files, they're older, I get it, are very hollow and tinny sounding. It helps Orin a bit because he's kind of like deadpan in the way he talks, but some of the other people sound kind of off. Their choices in voice actors, specifically Tidus, are questionable. I kind of get where they're going with him, but I'm just gonna say it. The American version. I would love to play this game in Japanese. I think there's a really good story with really good characters and really good dialogue that we did not get to see. I feel like the Western team, the Westernization team, botched the voice actors. Aside from a couple of them, I think some of them aren't too bad. And a lot of the scenes are just like, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place. Fucking, there's a lot to this game. A lot of the fucking dialogue is broken. You can tell because you'll see people's mouths moving and they're not talking, or someone will react to something and no one does anything. And I'm like, what happened there? I want to, like, there's part of this fucking story that I'm not getting. There's part of the nuance of these characters that would make me love them that I'm not getting.
Well, I think a big reason for that too is when at least there was a rumor back in the day, and I couldn't tell you if it's true or not, but I had heard that when they did the voice acting, they didn't get to do it together. It was like one person just read their lines and got recorded. So.
And I believe that, and I also believe that like they probably were just reading them into a microphone and not like watching the scenes out.
For sure.
Because it seems like they're just kind of talking. And again, that is of the time, but at the same time, there's still good examples of voice acting before that game. So that's Square Enix, that's the Western team, whoever brought it over.
The priority of how to do it and stuff,
Yeah, and it was new for them, but like, and of course I'm biased, but like Metal Gear Solid came out in like fucking 97, and it had really good voice acting.
For sure.
But it was way ahead of its time, so it's kind of unfair. So anyway, thematically, used to hate it, don't anymore. I actually, like I said, I think it's really ballsy. They went in that direction. I think it works. It's also really refreshing. Voice acting, I'm not a big fan of, but my biggest problem with it is the Western writing, the English translation. I don't think it's accurate. I don't think it's fair. I would bet money on it. I bet if you played this in Japanese, you'd have a completely different, more robust experience. So I'd really like to play in that. Tidus as a character, And this is the hardest thing. This is my biggest criticism. I promise there's a lot of good things to this game that I really like. But Tidus as a character, especially in the way he is presented in English, I don't like him. I see the way he looks. I see him in cutscenes. He looks really happy and just like optimistic, like something you'd expect in something like this. And then you hear like the voice actor here, and he's fucking obnoxious. His lines are never good. No. Everything he said. I'm playing this game and I'm listening to like Orin talk, Yuna talk, fucking Lulu, Waka. I didn't dislike Waka at all. I've heard people talk shit about him. I was like, I don't mind him. I think he's probably one of the more interesting characters of all the fucking characters. I'm like, I can get down with this whole fucking group. I can go through this whole game with all these guys. I don't mind them all. And then he will butt in, and I'm like, get him out of here. He's the main character. It's crazy. Like every time he talks, and then they do that weird like Saved by the Bell fucking. He just talks over shit. That's what remind me of. It's just like for any kids watching, they're like, what the fuck's he talking about? He does narration when it first started. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. I haven't played Final Fantasy where that happens. I got sick of it so quick because I don't like him and what he had to say ever. He's like, that's when everything seemed to change. Yuna used to look back. I finally found out why. She was gonna remember all the places she went through.
She was saying goodbye, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, ugh, fuck, man. Like, you just read those so weird and awful. So yeah, I liked most of the characters. I actually, no one ever talks about Kimari. I liked him. I actually used him a lot. A lot of people didn't use him, apparently. Everyone I've talked to.
Chris does.
Good, Chris. Yeah. I liked his arc, especially towards the end, when his fucking tribe gets murdered off by Seymour.
Mountain, yeah.
But that was cool because they've been little dickheads the whole time. Like, oh, Widow Kimari, he sucks. Oh, we broke his horn. And then like he's like, I'm about to fuck these guys up. Hold my beer. And fucking I wrecked them. And then they're like, we got your back. Anyone follows you, we'll fuck them up. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. That was a really cool scene. I like that. So anyway, liked the characters for the most part. Voice acting, hollow, minimal of its time. Tidus, I really think there's a character there that I didn't get to see because of the westernization of this game. That voice actor is fucking atrocious. I watched a video of his YouTube, and I guess he's like he does like impressions of a bunch of celebrities and stuff. That's his thing. And there's a video of him doing the fucking ha 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 ha, but it's like to the theme of Final Fantasy X. Right. It's obnoxious. So I feel like that was a big missed opportunity. It was a really weird. I can't think of a whole lot of games where I dislike the main character.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as say I disliked him, but I do think easily half of the stuff he says has no point. And to use a weird example, Final Fantasy 12 has a similar problem where the main character probably doesn't need to be in the game. Like,
sure, but at least he's not. He's just kind of there, and you're like, why is he here? Whereas like Tidus, like everyone's talking and I'm listening to him. It's like having a group of friends and there's the annoying guy who's trying to get everybody's fucking attention. He'll just show up and say some dumb shit, and I'm like, shut up, get the fuck out of here. There's that part where I think you fight Seymour for the first time, and throughout the game and after this part, everybody's like, we have to protect fucking Yuna. We're her guardians. That's our purpose. That's what we do. And then at that part, fucking everybody's like, get the fuck out of here, Seymour. And he's like, doing his little thing, just mindlessly fucking droning on. And it's the whole game he's like this. Yuna's like, I will help fight. And then fucking Tidus goes, all right. I'm like, you're supposed to be protecting her. Why are you fucking stoked she's like, it's good that she wants to support the team and shit. That's awesome. I'm glad that she's got your back or whatever. But like, he was just so fucking pumped. Like, yeah, fuck yeah. I was like, it totally just seemed weird. And he constantly does that. Like, there's like 3 different parts in the game where everybody's like, what are we going to do? This is getting rough or whatever. And he's like, we're going to protect Yuna because that's what we do. We're guardians. And they're like, yeah, you got a point. And he's like, uh-huh. I'm like, what a rousing speech. Jesus, we're going to fucking breathe air, drink water because we got to live. That's what humans do. Anyway, I'm not gonna bitch about TS too much. But it's just bizarre. to experience that. I liked everybody else though. I thought Orin was a cool character, but he's a fucking samurai, so I'm into that shit. Kamari's cool. Lulu looks cool. She doesn't have a lot to say, but she's fine. She's not negative. I don't have anything. I'm gonna get slaughtered. I did not like Riku that much.
Character-wise, I kind of get it because she doesn't really have a lot. There is some dialogue. I don't know if you maybe would have caught because I think it's on the side where it explains her relationship to Yuna.
Okay.
And because I might be getting this wrong. She's
careful. You get the hardcore.
They're either half sisters or cousins or something like that because
weird.
Because Yuna's half Albed.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure Sid is like her uncle. And that's Riku's dad. So the reason she just immediately is like, oh, I want to be a guardian and stuff like that is because she's like, oh crap, this is my family, and she's gonna go off and die. I need to figure out how to stop that from happening. Mm-hmm. It's not presented in the storytelling; it's on the side. So, yeah. But her dialogue is pretty much non-existent for most of the game. I think a lot of people like her because she's
she's bubbly,
the bubbly character of the game, but also. She's like the complete utility character, and for me, that's great.
Yeah,
I always like having that type of character. I use Riku both times I played this game just because she offers too much. So
I mostly found myself using fucking Tidus sometimes, but Orin, Kimari, and like Waka, and then I would pull other people if I needed the magic or whatever. But so positive thing about this game, I love you can switch people during battle. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. It's an awesome system. I really enjoyed it. I had to get used to that because I'm so used to all the JRPGs where I have my 3 guys. Someone is getting fucked up, and I'm like, I gotta fucking heal them. But then in this, I'm like, swap.
Well, it's also nice that you don't lose your turn by doing it because some RPGs will
crazy.
You can make the decision, but you lose your turn.
I had convinced myself that you did lose your turn halfway through the game. I don't know why. I was just like, I'm gonna lose my turn, and then I did it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can attack again. That's cool.
If you find the time, like I said, systematically, I think you should play 10-2 because if you like the way you can,
I own it. I got the remaster.
Yeah, if you could the way you could switch in 10, you have a lot of tools at your disposal. Mm-hmm. You only have 3 characters in 10-2, but there's the job system, so you can literally go, oh crap, I need a healer. Switch someone's job over to healer. So.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shotgun things I love about this game just because I sat here and ranted about Tidus because it's just he robs me of things that he robbed me of things that I felt like could have been more meaningful for me. All the meaningful aspects of the game, the romantic scene that happens, the end that I felt like I should really have cared about and I couldn't because I didn't like him as a character, but was really well done. It was beautiful. All that stuff, just because I couldn't like him as a character, was robbed from me because there's some really good fucking scenes there that I just wish I could have cared about more, but I still appreciate them a lot. Outside of that, the game has a fantastic soundtrack. It took me back to the days of just those great fucking soundtracks of JRPGs, and a lot of them nowadays all sound like they're pretty much emulating this, but there's just such original music that came out of these games. I loved because it had to do with religion and cultures and stuff, that you had these really the
hymn of the faith.
Yeah. That was stuck in my head all fucking month, that song. But there's so many good songs. Fucking the original theme, that's the piano and stuff like that. Really good shit. I really thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack, but I liked it back then too. So it's so funny how familiar this game was for me. And I haven't played it much. In fact, I got past the first hour. I was like, oh, this is new shit. This is all new content. Because I replayed that beginning part trying to get into it so many times. I think this game translates to 2019 really fucking well, which means back then this game was ahead of its time because I've played JRPGs that are more recent that
don't offer as much
or offer about as much. I mean, this game set a standard. I also feel like playing it, how impressed I am with how well it plays now. This game was fucking big and ambitious, and they worked their fucking ass off making this game back then, because I'm just going games are like this now, and they made this back then. When that game came out, it was a fucking event. Mm-hmm. I mean, before that you had the Bouncer from Square.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It looked good. It played well. But when they're Final Fantasy 10's coming out, everybody's like, oh shit. Because the legacy had started with prior Final Fantasies, and this one was really well received. It was really flashy, really good looking, and it had really advanced systems. I mean, like if you played this back then, it's probably a fucking treat. Because I'm playing now, and I'm like, this game's still fucking fun. I beat it, I didn't have to do it. Like I didn't force myself to do it. I did for the channel, but like I enjoyed it. So that's great. I also think that the world has very vast and differing locations that are really interesting and full of characters that will elaborate on the world and make you feel like you're actually there, which is awesome. I don't like the temples because of my personal bias on puzzles, but I appreciate them a shitload, and I think they're really neat. I think it's also a really interesting direction that they went, where you are expecting every time you're getting your fucking summons to do one of these. It's neat. It's consistent. It makes the world feel like this is how shit is, and it goes with her whole pilgrimage, which I think is a really neat story of people escorting somebody through these trials to try and stop sin. It's just got a cool pacing to it, and it was evenly paced. This game's not super long. It's longer than your average game, but for our JRPG, it's short.
Yeah,
I mean, it's about average,
except for the last chapter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a 34-hour playthrough if you're not doing all the extra shit. Because I beat it in 30 something.
Making the game harder on yourself, but yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. I like the amount of work they put into the summons in this, because a lot of times you just kind of cast it and it happens, but in this you're like summoning them out and playing as them. Although I do feel like it distracts from the rest of the fucking combat. Like it just kind of like, as you're in the middle of a fight, you're now fighting your Pokemon versus their Pokemon, which is fine, but like at the same time, you can't skip things in this game.
Actually, in the options, there is a toggle to make the summon cutscenes.
Jesus Christ. On PC, there's a couple buttons that will allow you to put in 2 times and 4 times speed. I would always put in 4 times speed when I summoned. I wish I fucking knew that.
Sorry.
Holy shit. Holy shit. There's so much time I wasted. When I saw them at first, I was like, these are great looking. Like,
they're very elaborate.
The Final Fantasy is always about spectacle, man.
Yeah.
They fucking love to show off. And that game still looks great. I was watching how creative even their moves are. Throwing people in the air, throwing a fucking rock into them, and then shooting them and shit. Like, it's just awesome. That's, to be expected. But, 30 hours into it, I'm not trying to watch that over and over again. And again, if you're super into the summons, it probably was awesome to play as them. I liked the dynamic of having 3 people and certain bosses or things I was fighting. I was like, I got to summon. So I'd pull that thing out, and it just felt less fun for me.
I pretty much treated them as oh shit buttons.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And because I didn't emphasize a lot of work into them, the end where you had to fight them was very easy. And I did that unintentionally. I had no idea what I was getting into.
I did that intentionally.
Yeah, but I had no idea that was the end. So when my summons came out, I was like, are they getting ramped up, or are those my summons? And then I hit him and he died like in one hit. I was like, oh, okay, those are mine.
Those are yours.
Those are mine. Okay, this is going to be a fucking breeze. Although the very last, was that you, Evan? The little fucking hunk
The parasite,
shit?
that's you, Evan, yeah.
Yeah. That was confusing at first, because you have to, like, there's all these different ways to beat him, but like...
You want to know how I beat him?
Huh?
Cast Doom on him, and in 3 turns he died.
Oh. I think I casted something, zombified him or some shit, and then healed him.
Yep.
And then he died.
You can do that too.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat, but like at first I was like, I can't hurt this guy.
Yeah, you can cheese him real bad. So.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of different routes you could go to beat him. So.
Ideally, you would have leveled more than me and you probably did, and you would be able to hit him harder than he's healing himself for. But I
fucking trucked him for fucking 99999, and he healed for 99999.
Yeah, I couldn't damage him at all.
You couldn't damage him?
Not really.
Oh.
I was way weak. In fact, to kind of give some insight, when I had to fight Jet, I can't say his name.
Checked.
I tried fighting him, and
checked.
He was healing faster than I could hurt him, and I was like, oh no. I said, how am I going to do this? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the cheating way, and I had spent a little extra time earlier, and I had gotten 2 of the optional summons, and I got Yojimbo, and if you pay Yojimbo enough, he just insta kills people. So I was like, here you go, and he went, and just
See, and
kill
I'm actually really stoked that you got to come back and play this game because you have all that prior info, so you got to play it differently and you committed to the whole thing. Obviously, you like the game, so it's not that hard, I guess. But yeah, for me, I have none of that info, so I'm just like going at it blind. Like I can't think of an older game that I completely avoided as much as this game. So like playing it, I was like, I've seen Seymour like once, but I've never thought about the guy.
Yeah.
So I was like playing the game, and I'm like, you're a bad guy. This is how blind I am to this fucking game. I was like, I feel like you're a fucking bad guy. And then I'm talking, and everybody's kind of avoiding it. And then Josh comes over, he's like, you fight Seymour 3 yet? I'm like, I guess he is the bad guy. Thanks for confirming.
Thanks, Josh.
After that, he stopped talking. He just stopped talking altogether. But yeah, fucking bosses though. Jekt was kind of rough. Unalaska was, I think, the most difficult one. This game also took me back to a time where fucking JRPGs were fucking mean and rough. Because games now, for anyone who follows the channel, I've been playing JRPGs fucking hardcore for like the last almost year. I've beaten quite a few of them, a couple of them, and fucking, I don't know. I've beaten like 5 or 6 of them in the last year or so. And I'm currently playing like 4 of them at once. I need to stop and just fucking beat one.
Welcome to me, late 90s.
Yep. Yeah, it's rough. It's really rough. And then I fucking had to lock in on this one. I mean, the one I'm playing right now is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I fucking love that game. But most of them nowadays, like, I don't have an issue. Either I go into a zone I shouldn't be in, they kill me, or I'm progressing through the story and enjoying it. And I just kind of love living in those worlds. They're awesome. They're like books. Like, after I'm done, I don't want to leave them, which is something you don't get in a lot of other types of genre games. I'm sure anyone who's super into JRPGs agrees. Playing this though, there was more than a couple fucking fights where I started getting into it, and they started hitting me hard in the beginning. I'm like, oh shit, and then they just fucking wiped me instantly. I was like, I haven't played one like this in a long time.
Yeah.
This is fucking rough. So I'd have to go like recalibrate my fucking characters, go grind and shit. A lot of times I preemptively grind anyway, and I did do that in this.
Yeah, I didn't. It made it really hard.
And I'd still get fucked up. And I was like, I almost beat him. Yeah. So I'm going to have to tweak it a little bit more, change my gear and shit. But it was nice. Like, there's actually a challenge to it. And I forgot older JRPGs were fucking like that.
Yeah.
So it was a rude reminder, but welcome. Oh shit, we are fucking cruising. What else do I want to add out there? I like the story. I think it could have been conveyed better, and it might have been conveyed better in Japanese. But it is a good one. I think it was big and epic, but also kind of like more somber and subtle than a lot of the other Final Fantasies that always seem a lot more intense and shit. This one was like kind of like, this world fucking sucks, but we want to make it better. You know, we're all building friendships on this journey or whatever, but there's going to be consequences at the end of it, and it's going to suck for everybody, but this just has to be done. And I kind of liked that tone.
You know what this in 15 share that I really appreciate? And if you if you have not beaten 15, I guess mute this video for about 5 seconds. So the heroes die.
Yeah.
In both of them. Or they don't exist anymore,
which is bold. Yeah. In fact, I think 10 doing it first was really bold.
Yeah.
Because 15 when it happened, I was like, "Whoa, shit!" But like, that was a long time ago they did that, so it's really fucking bold of them to do. This game is bold. I keep saying that, but like all their decisions, I'm like, "Ooh, you actually thought to do that and you did it."
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I liked the journey. I liked, I mean, there's some really cool scenes. One of my favorites, just because it was so fucked up, was when the Al Bhed were trying to kill Sin. And everybody in this world already knows you can't kill Sin. But people are so desperate to stop it that they're like sacrificing themselves. They're fucking building new technologies. They're trying to do everything that they can to stop this shit. And they can't do it. So that scene was really intense because everybody's kind of onlooking like, fuck, what's going to happen? And they're giving him their all. And then they all just get slaughtered. And I'm just like, it just really drove home how desperate people are to just fucking end this shit. They're done with it. They don't want to keep doing this shit. And it had a really cool paradigm of the Al Bhed and, oh shit, Waka's people. Then not liking each other.
It's just the
Everybody?
Followers of Yevon.
Yevon, yeah. Okay, yeah. I liked that they both had the same thing they're trying to accomplish, just different
Right,
beliefs.
deals, yeah.
Which was really, really cool. So all in all, I liked most of the stuff, but there's a fucking heavy burden on me with getting around Tidus as a character. And I 100% believe that is only in the Western version of the game. When I watch those cutscenes, he looks like he's a completely different fucking character. Because obviously in the game, he's just... So you don't get as much emotion out of his face and stuff like that.
Also, there always is like implied romance in Final Fantasy, and this one actually had like
Again, very bold,
conveyed.
very
Yeah.
bold. Although people overplayed it. I almost said my whole life, but a lot of my life since 10 came out, people are always like, "Oh, ghost boyfriend! Oh, ghost boyfriend!" Barely, like fucking. They had a moment, and I actually thought it was really well done. It was very sweet, tender, and the end of the game, added on to that as well. I really wish that scene could have just fucking tore me up, but I was just like, I wish Tidus was a cooler character, because that was actually really kind of sad to watch her like run at him and fall and shit. But yeah, I don't know. It had a lot of things to it, like actually seeing romance in a game, especially back then. I mean, even 15 barely touched on that. It's implied.
The ending's very good.
The ending's very fucking good. I loved it. I got chills when I got chills thinking about it right now. Just yesterday I got chills too. There's a lot of stories that just give me chills. But yeah, there's nothing in between, but they're separated for most of the part. So although the scene with Leviathan and stuff, that part was pretty intense. 15's great. I really liked it. We are running out of time though, so we should probably jump into recommendations. Is there anything else you want to throw out there about 10?
No, I mean, if you're for some reason like we're like Seth and you just didn't get around to it either because you didn't like it or it didn't happen. I do think it is worth visiting. The game is a full experience that is still, like you said, holds up. The game's fun to play.
Easily holds up.
There's a lot of content there. You will get your money's worth out of it.
And when you buy the remaster, you get 1 and 2.
Yeah, you get 10-2.
It's a great deal.
Storyline wise, you should try to ignore as much as possible, but it is probably in my opinion, one of the most fun to play Final Fantasy games.
Which, interests me because I think there's a lot of systems and JRPGs that I dig.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, give it a shot. You might like it. He went from hating it to
Hating it.
He'll give you a grade here in a moment, but
Yeah.
having a more positive opinion of it. So
Yeah, it's got weaknesses, but I think most of it outshines those weaknesses. So, and some of the weaknesses I can't even judge. Like, bad voice acting was pretty standard back then.
Yeah.
So, but the writing and the way Tidus was handled were not standard.
fortunately, Square's gotten better at that.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing I'd like to throw out there before we get into recommendations. This is a game that I would love for them to do a full, complete remake of.
Yeah.
I think there's a great story here that could be done so much better nowadays. So hopefully after 7, maybe we'll get a 10 remake, because I would love to play this game again with a better told story.
Yeah.
Like the same story, but like
I
more.
wonder if the demand would be there though.
I feel like it would.
I mean,
if
I feel
7
like it
fucking
would
nails
too,
it.
But I almost think that we'd get a 6 or an 8 before we get a 10.
I don't think we're gonna get a fucking 6.
Well, I don't think so either.
That game's unsung, but it does definitely deserve. I would love to play a reimagined version of 6, complete remade. Okay, we're running out of time, so let's jump into recommendations. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, 100%, you fucking probably already played this. You probably already love it. If you somehow are a Final Fantasy fan and you didn't play this, go back and play it. What are you doing? It's like one of the most famous ones. Although they're all pretty fucking famous. Play Final Fantasy 14 too. That's a great one that people don't think about because it's online.
It's a single player game where you occasionally play with people.
Yeah. If you like JRPGs, it's a must. You probably already played it. So I'm just recommending this to people who already played it pretty much. I can't recommend this to like people who are into shooters and shit because you're probably not going to appreciate it.
It's too slow pace.
Yeah. If you like stories, if you like Miyazaki type stuff, you might be into it. It's very whimsical in its visual style and storytelling. If you like Japanese stuff, you'd probably be into it. I mean, literally, there's a specific group of people who have already played this fucking game that I'm trying to recommend this to. If you've dabbled in RPGs, but you're like, I'm not really into a lot of them and you didn't play this one, I would recommend playing it. It's definitely got its place. If if you want to, like, those people who get into movies and want to watch all the classics, like with video games, you want to play like the classic games. I mean, I would say this is one of the games that defined an era in video games. So I think it's a must in that regard as well. It's like during the time it released, one of the biggest games that existed. So definitely worth checking out there. Other than that, though, I really couldn't recommend it to like everybody.
I'm just going to add on to that. If you like tragic stories, the story is nothing but tragic the whole time. And if you like games that have a lot of extra things to do in it, like I said, the post game here is huge. You have so many like extras that you can do and secrets to find and whatnot. So I do think.
Oh, if you like puzzle games, play this.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot to do. So just I would say, if you want a full game, once again, totally worth it.
There's a lot to it. Also, fuck Blitzball. I don't like it.
There are people who want to add it to 14. It's driving me crazy.
Add it, but don't add Blitzball, but don't add that system. Don't play it that way. But it can still be. You can remake the way that game plays and keep it the exact same rule set. Just don't have the fucking menu clicking shit. I don't know. I hated it. Any other recommendations?
No, not really. You pretty much said the obvious ones. So
yeah, I mean, it is a fucking Final Fantasy game. I mean,
in a very classic.
They
sense.
have their fucking people who play those games, and me, of course, I love the games as well. But like, there's people who just don't play these type of games too.
Sure.
So it's niche, but you know, well regarded. It's fucking famous for a reason. Grades. I'll jump in first. I'm gonna give this a very, very strong B+. It's hard for me to give it the A range just because, and I'm coming into this late. Maybe if I had the nostalgia, I'd maybe grade it higher. But there's a really good game here that is weakened by a couple things. But for the most part, I really enjoyed the game. I would definitely recommend it to people we recommended it to. And I am interested in playing the second one. And I liked almost everything about it. There's just some things that were really glaring problems for me. But as for a person who once hated this game, giving it a B+ is quite the compliment. I have to fucking emphasize because I did dislike this game a lot when I was younger. So yeah, B+ definitely deserves it. I wouldn't be surprised if people gave it higher grades. That's just as high as I can go.
Yeah. So nostalgic me would have probably actually said A range. Coming back to it now, I can't. I do think it is a great game. I have to emphasize that as well. And I beat it twice. I didn't have to beat it this month. I did.
Yeah.
So that being said, I also want to give it a B+. I do think
Okay.
I think it is a great game. I want to say that it is a great game. It's worth playing, and if you have not played it for some reason, play it. It's great. But it has some pretty strong weaknesses in the regards of the way characters interact with each other, script writing, and voice acting. They just don't work these days. And I would love to see that polished because I think that game could be re-released really easy right now. So,
Yeah. I'm actually surprised by that we're in the same area on that. I assumed you'd go higher. But it's fair. B+ is good. That's why I said strong B+. It's really good. It's really good. It's just there's some things I want to ignore. I can't. I just can't do it. I had to spend 40 hours with it, and I was just like, I just wish it was better in some ways. But for the most part, awesome game. I'm glad that I fucking played it. So let us know in the comments what you think of Final Fantasy X. And if you're one of those people like me who have not played it yet, why haven't you played it? But are you a big fan of it? Do you like it? Did you not like it? What's your favorite Final Fantasy? 7. 7's my favorite.
probably 7, though. I have to say this. The Shadowbringers expansion for 14 is really fucking good.
Yeah, he's saying like it's like one of the best Final Fantasies, and some people actually back that. Easy Allies was saying it was one of the best ones as well. Yeah. So, I've yet to see yet, but it's really good to hear. I really liked 15 though too, but it's not my favorite. But fucking, oh shit, I forgot his name. The bad guy. Oh no, I forgot his name. I loved him. Yeah. I fucking hate him at the beginning. I'm like, this guy's obnoxious. And then towards the end, I'm like, I get it. He doesn't give a fuck about anything.
You know what's really funny? That's what makes the Shadowbringers expansion really good is the villain.
Yeah. Well, that's Final Fantasy, though.
Yeah.
You got to have good characters, but you got to have a good fucking villain. If you don't have a good villain, it falls flat. Fuck Seymour. Sin's cool, though.
Sin's cool.
Yeah, let me know everything you think about when it comes to Final Fantasy X, though. What's your thoughts? What's your opinions? What would you grade it? Did you love this game? Did you hate this game? And what is your favorite Final Fantasy? But that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Quick reminder that we will be playing Ori and the Blind Forest this month, so make sure to play that. Come back at the end of the month and talk to us about it. But as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out my streams on Twitch, and hopefully here soon on YouTube at Tasty Senpai, all one word, or at this channel right here where you're at. We have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time, and we are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And that's going to do it for this fucking week of episodes. We had to shotgun a lot of episodes all at once, and it's been tiring considering it's been hot, and we've been working our asses off at work. So it's been a rough week, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. And yeah, until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.